Once you get to the bride's time to start hair, typically the photographer isn't there yet. We're usually 4 hours, give or take, before walk time when we start putting the bride in rollers. I just want to know when the photographer is going to be there, so if I'm within a 15-minute window, we can work it to where the photographer can get some pictures of the bride getting ready. If the photographer isn't there and they don't catch any of them, it always ends up in some awkward, after shot. Hey, pretend like you're still doing your hair. I'm like, bah. So if you can time it right and work with the photographer or have the photographer there while you're still doing hair, all the better. Once your photographer arrives, they're going to be taking pictures of the wedding party, hanging out, everybody in their robes. I've had photographers get all of the bridesmaids in their robes and have them jumping on the bed and all their hair is kind of going everywhere. It's like a bloody mess, but you can't really invade into what it is that they're doing. You can't prevent the photographer from his creative aspects, so you just need to be there to support. Usually when the photographer comes in, I introduce myself and I tell him, hey, if you see anything with the hair or the girls are doing anything where the hair is moving too much, let me know, man. I want to be able to be Johnny on the spot. It's important to develop a relationship with a photographer because the two of you guys, if you're good, are going to be working together a lot. Most photographers, they see the hairdresser for a second and the hairdresser's gone. So when you're hanging out, you're standing right by the photographer, you're working little pieces in the shoots like a hair coming down around the face that he would normally have to go through and edit out on Photoshop. You're there cleaning and perfecting those kind of things. It's really easy for a photographer to be like, you're working with James? Yeah, I've worked with him before. He's awesome. That's what you want when they go for a consultation with their photographer 3 months before the wedding. Lastly, with the photographer, it's really important that they're there to capture the veil going in. And I usually ask them, I tell them, hey, I'm gonna make sure that you're here when we're starting to do the veil work. I've had one out of the last 20 years be like, oh, it's fine, I'm not gonna shoot that. One out of 20 years. And I haven't really worked with that photographer very much since then. So, photographers need to shoot the veil going in, and there's opportunities there to get some really great pictures. So whenever we're working a veil, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hold that veil up to the shape with the bride and all the bridesmaids around. And we want this to occur like a collective placement, okay? So the bride can decide where it's at, but then all of her girls need to be like, yeah, that's perfect, that's awesome. You wanna make sure that when you put it in, it's gonna stay there. We're not gonna 5 minutes later be like, oh, I need to move it up a little higher or let's move it a little lower. So we're just gonna hold the veil by the clip, let the veil go over the back of your hands, and you're gonna hold it to her head in a way that everybody can see it in the mirror and everybody can collectively agree to where it needs to go. Once you find where that veil is supposed to go, we're gonna take the whole veil and flip it over her head. Now, when we do this, it's really important the veil doesn't sit on the hair that you just created, and it's really important that it doesn't touch her face, right? The reason I'm flipping it over her head is so I can get a really good view of the clip and where I'm gonna pin it. Now, once we flip it over the face, I always either get the mother or the sister of the bride or somebody to help. They're all about it, because at this point she's wearing her dress, everybody's getting ready to go, the photographer's snapping lots of pictures. If you get the mother of the bride and the sister of the bride at the other end of this veil holding it up, while the bride holds her hands like this to make sure the veil doesn't touch her face, and then you're behind her putting in the veil, it makes for an awesome shot. When you're placing the veil in, you want to make sure, as you've lined it up where it's going to be, if we decide we want it here on her head, once we flip that veil over, we're gonna put the clip straight in to that spot, fold it flat, and when we push it down, it should stop exactly where you were aiming. Once the veil's in the hair, we wanna bobby pin it, even if it feels secure. We had a situation, I guess a couple years ago, where the bride had like this cathedral-length veil, this ridiculously huge Cinderella dress, whatever. She was walking the aisle, she was launching, and they set her dress and they tried to set her veil, but it just kind of caught the wind a little funny as it was coming down to the floor. And once she starts walking, you can't touch it. And that veil was way off to the right as she was going, and there's all these pews, and I'm watching and I see that veil catch on the side of one of the pews, and I thought, oh my God, it's over. And that veil snagged, and when it snagged, it pulled her whole head back, almost pulled her over. And you know what I was thinking? Yes! Because if that veil would have come out, that would have been on me. I'd rather her fall over because she got her veil snatched than the veil coming off her head while she's walking the aisle. So in order to do this, we want to make sure that we X our bobby pins. You're going to slide one veil onto the clip in the hair, making sure that you're gripping some of the hair with that, and you're going to take another pin and slide it over the top of that to make an X. It's important that if you're putting pins in the veil, which you are. So it's important that when you put the pins in the veil, that you figure out who in the room, if they didn't buy your second package or you didn't upgrade them to the next package, who in the room is going to be taking it out. Because it's really important that they see where those pins are, because to remove a veil, the pins have to come out first, and then once the pins are out, you slowly and really lightly remove the veil, and then you can kind of pick the hair back into its place. But if a bridesmaid or a mother-in-law or a mother of the bride is going to be doing it, she needs to be there when you put it in and receive your instructions to take it out. When you get ready to leave the place that you're doing hair at, or everybody is already on location, she's got her dress on, veils in, and she's getting ready to go, this is where you start working on your relationship with the wedding planner. Make sure that you've introduced yourself at this point. She's kind of been in and out of the room. You want to introduce yourself and shake hands, but you don't want to stop her, ask her questions. She's got a lot of stuff going on. When you get to the point where everybody's done, all the hair's done, everybody's on location, there's this little window of time in almost every wedding that I work where everybody has worked really fast, hurried, rushed just to sit there and wait for another 30 minutes. It's every wedding this happens. This is a good time to start talking with the wedding planner, developing a relationship with her. Explain to her how you're going to do the touch-ups, when you're going to do the touch-ups, and ask if you can shadow her through this last part. And they're always happy to have somebody there on the spot in case they're needed. So you want to make sure that you don't have your hairspray and tools out to where people can see it. If somebody doesn't know you're the hairdresser at this point, then there's nothing to identify you as such. You want to blend in, be the guy in a suit or the girl in a dress with the hairspray hidden, the comb hidden, and as people line up, that's where you step up and do your last final touch-ups on the entire wedding party and the bride, and then you hang right back behind the wedding planner in case you get the opportunity to help with the dress or fix one little thing right before she walks, and wedding planners will love you for that. There is a lot more to weddings than just doing updos. Granted, updos are very, very important. It's a very important aspect, but all the stuff that you do leading up to delivering the technical work is so important. I encourage you to go back and watch all these sections, take notes, and if you can imitate some of these strategies and put them into play in your own market, I guarantee you will stand out.